Hello. So, this is the first time I'm doing a video like this ever. It will probably be very amateurish, so I apologize for any editing or major audio issues. I can't afford a microphone right now, so I am actually using my phone for this. If you say anything negative about me, I will jump off a bridge and it will be all your fault. Have fun being charged for murder and living with the guilt. Anyway, for a really long time, I had this idea of ranking the Dead Rising 1 and 2 survivors because everyone ranks the psychopaths, but never the survivors. But then a few people beat me to it by ranking the Dead Rising survivors, but I don't think anyone has done part 2 yet. So yay, I finally did it. I hate my voice, so this took a lot of courage to upload, but I love the Dead Rising 2 series, and specifically its survivors. Saving them is one of, if not my favorite part of the game. I like the Dead Rising 2 survivors way more than the first, probably because their AI isn't bad at all. In fact, I think they made them too strong. I one time played Dead Rising 2 and then went back to the first game. Good lord. But they all have their own little personalities and quirks, and even the ones that are really low on the list, I don't hate. I will only be including the survivors from part 2 and off the record. You can actually rescue. So, no Case West or Case Zero survivors. I've never gotten to play those DLCs. I'm a PlayStation girl. If I did rank them, then this girl from Case Zero would be high. The people from the beginning of the game who died during the outbreak won't be counted as well, or else this girl would be high. I always feel so bad when she dies. I think it's because she's the youngest, plus I like her design. And I will not be including the survivors that are already in the safe house at the beginning, or else Lulu would be number 1. Buckle up for this very long ride because first, at the very bottom of the list, I'm gonna say it, Richard Kelly is the worst survivor in Dead Rising 2, and off the record. I can't stand him. There's absolutely nothing redeemable about this guy. Not even the fact that he gives you Zombrex. And that's saying something considering he's one of only 2 survivors in the whole game who do. Honestly, I think the reason why the developers made him give you Zombrex was because they knew players wouldn't want to save him again on their second or third playthrough. I only do it because I go through all survivor playthroughs. But even then, his Zombrex isn't necessary. You can still get the true ending and save everyone just fine with all the Zombrex that's laying around the map, the other survivor who gives you some, and whatever you buy from the pawn shop. Just buy from the pawn shop. So, Richard's basically useless. So, Richard's holed up at a diner looking for food, but he refuses to come with you until you bring him some very specific food, not healthy food, because he's fat. The kicker, every piece of food item on the platinum strip is gone, so unless you brought something with you, you'll have to go further out to find something, thus wasting your time. And off the record, they somehow made it more insane. They moved him to a grocery store. Why? I have no idea. That's literally the one place where food should be. But of course, the shelves are empty, so you better have hoped you brought something. That's no biggie, though. That's not why I hate him. And off the record, there's a side quest where Richard somehow gets more insufferable. Turns out he's creeping all of the women in the safe house out because he's horny. So you're forced to go to a very specific store and to find a very specific magazine, and if you don't, every female survivor that you rescued will leave and never come back because they feel safer with the zombies than with him. So yeah, he wastes your time. He's the first of a few that I'll talk about who waste your time, and I don't like people wasting my time. Stuart is another one who wastes your time and will be the first of a few survivor groups that I'll be splitting up because one is better or worse than the other. Stuart and Brittany, who will rank a little higher on the list, work at Fortune City and are breaking into slot machines because they want to take advantage of the opportunity to get money they feel like they deserve. That's fine, I'd do the same if I could, honestly. Stuart will start to attack you though, and you have to beat him up a little to knock some sense into him, but not too much or else he'll defect and you can't rescue him. After rescued, later on in the game he causes a stir at the safe house because he thinks Chuck caused the outbreak, so you have to haul ass back to the safe house to talk to him, and if you don't, he and a few other survivors that you worked hard for to rescue will once again leave. Something interesting to note though is that the first time you leave the safe house after he does that, he'll run at you and attack you. That took me off guard the first time I saw that. I'm kind of glad they did that. It was pretty cool. He'll defect if Brittany dies. Good for him. But Brittany won't defect if he dies. Good for her. I don't like the hotheads who waste my time. However, he's not in off the record, and I wasn't complaining. I didn't miss his presence, but we still had Brittany's presence. Sort of. I don't even know where to begin with these three. Around 1 a.m. on day 2, they will be at the Atlantica Casino, unannounced by the way. Stacy won't tell you about them. And they won't come with you unless you beat all 3 of them in a poker game. Also, it takes $100,000 to start the game. You'll get it back and more if you beat them, but if you don't have it in the first place, good luck saving them. As someone who really likes to play poker, I've been playing since I was 13, this mission sucks. It's really unfair to people who don't know how to play poker, and you can get the 3 gambling magazines to make it easier, but they won't make it a 100% slam dunk, wipe them all out, immediate kind of win. It still takes some time and effort. The magazines will get you better cards, but they won't make the other 3 get terrible cards. They still know how to play. It's also unfair to people who don't even know about the gambling magazine. These 3 spawn at a very critical time. Lots of other survivors spawn, and you'll eventually have to start the setup for the Tape It or Die crew, plus rush back to the safe house to give Zakady her Zombrex. They'd be better if they spawned at a less busy time. This mission takes forever. It brings the pacing of the whole game to a screeching halt. The AI has them fold a lot, as in quit, which means you can't win big hands to drain their money faster and dwindle them down to 0. And oh my god, every character does this lean back motion. They're thinking, so they lean back in their chair for a moment. It's horrendous. I'm always like, hurry the hell up. But most of all, it's boring. People came to kill zombies, not play poker with inconsistent AI. However, in Off the Record, you need $1 million for a mission with TK. If you do this mission, it awards you with $1 million. I have to say, I do think that was a smart idea from the developers to include. It makes them worth the hassle in Off the Record, not Part 2. From worst to best, I think Jacob would be 68 because he's the least striking and has the rudest dialogue. Nevada at 67 because of his very loud shirt. And then at 65, Jessica because she's the hottest and I like her dialogue the most. I always talk to her over the other 2. I totally understand the world building the devs were going with this. I think the concept is so ridiculous that it works in a Dead Rising game, but the execution is where it's at fault. Fun fact, when I was making this list, Bill is the only character I forgot about. Which is crazy because he's so low because he pisses me off so much. But this is one of the few times I'm not using a script, I'm just going off memory. In Dead Rising 2, he is found in that casino that has the SUV, and he will not come with you unless you give him $25,000 because he has a gambling addiction. In Off the Record, he is moved to day 1 to the Americana Casino, and same thing, which is worse because it's much earlier in the game. If you don't have $25,000, he's not coming with you. Even when you take him back to the safe house, he's like, where are the slot machines? Which, side note, I'll probably get more into this later, but I think it would have been cool if we got to see him playing the slot machines at the safe house. He wears a cowboy hat, but he shockingly doesn't stick out because there is another survivor that wears a cowboy hat, and because of his dialogue and personality, it fits him much better. So if you think of the cowboy from Dead Rising 2, you'll think of the other guy or Seymour. There are other greedy characters, but Bill's isn't funny. Everyone else is kind of more tongue-in-cheek and absurd, while his is just kind of pitiful, despite the fact that he's playing slot machines in an outbreak, but we already saw 2 other characters breaking into slot machines. If I was him, I would have just done that. But at least the high rollers give you the money back if you beat them. But Bill doesn't waste your time like they do, especially if you have the SUV key, because the SUV is right there. But still, I don't like him. I don't like her. I don't like her attitude. I fight a deranged chef to save you. You refuse to come with me until I find your friend because you think I started the outbreak. Fine. I go get your friend. I bring you both back to the safe house, risking my life multiple times, and you still say you don't trust me? Whack. Your first time going to find Jasper can be a pain in the ass. He's kinda hidden and tucked away. But you don't need to do the psychopath battle to save him like you do her. And he'll go with you if she dies, but she won't go with you if he dies. And in Off the Record, she's a big fan of Frank. She trusts him and she's excited to see him, but she still won't go with him until you find Jasper for whatever reason. It's not really explained. It's kind of badly written. Chuck calls her a beautiful barkeep, but I don't really like her design. She's very plain and weird looking. I don't think she stands out at all. I don't go out of my way to save her like some other psychopath battle survivors or Jasper. So, a fun little fact about me, I really like the survivors where you can offer a shoulder or carry. They practically make Chuck and Frank untouchable. Dean is seen in a shop fighting off zombies with a gun, and he is injured. He's a war veteran, and he has so much pride that he will not let you offer him a shoulder, which makes him the slowest survivor in the game and a huge pain in the ass to rescue. Unless you have the leadership magazine, which a lot of people probably didn't, he's not going to be fun to rescue. You can use a wheelchair to rescue him, but a lot of players probably didn't know about that or didn't know how to use it because it is very clunky. If I don't have the leadership magazine or don't want to go out of my way to get it, I probably will skip his mission, and he's not in off the record. Do with that what you will. I don't like this guy. I think he is so annoying. Your old father-in-law is fighting off a group of zombies with a little knife, and you're just standing in the corner crying like a little bitch. Do something! You can play strip poker with Jack later on in the game. He wears a different helmet per game, and you can wear that helmet if you beat him and strip him down. But I don't think it's worth it. I do think Kenneth deserved a better son-in-law because had the wife/daughter been there, I don't think Jack would have protected her. I think he would have reacted the same way and then she would have died or left him. Kenneth does have funny dialogue if Jack dies, but overall I don't like rescuing him. Willa is the first of a few survivors in Dead Rising 2 that you can carry that I'll be talking about on the list, and I've always liked the ones that you can carry. It makes Chuck untouchable. She's one half of the duo from the mission in industrial fashion, but her friend Terry is definitely the better survivor of the pair. When you find them, Terry is on the ground fighting off zombies while Willa is on top of this platform, and you have to talk to Willa to get Terry to join afterwards. Willa is not injured, she's just tired from fighting zombies, and that's fine if she were alone. I can only assume her and Terry were fighting zombies together, but Willa got tired first, so she went to higher ground and left her friend down there to fight zombies off on her own. Terry's not tired, what the hell? You can argue why didn't Terry get on top of the platform, but she was surrounded when you find her, so she probably wasn't able to. So Willa isn't helping her friend, which makes her look selfish, while Terry won't come with you until you check on Willa, which makes her look like the better friend. There are other survivors that you can carry, but not because they're injured, but because of something else, and it's usually funnier or makes more sense. But being tired isn't one of them. I'm sure everyone was tired that day. Why didn't they want to get carried? They really should have just made her injured. It would have fit the situation a lot better. She comes out looking a lot worse than Terry in every aspect, which is why she's a lot lower. Okay, so the next on the list is Lenny, but here is some backstory. This is my second time uploading this video. I deleted it the first time for a few reasons. One reason was I spent days making this video, trying to get everything right. I recorded sections for all 70 survivors and stitched them together. And I recorded one for Lenny and did the editing for it, but somehow I forgot to stitch it to the rest of the video. So I uploaded the video without Lenny being in it, so it was ranking all the survivors without Lenny. After I realized it, I was so mad. He was originally this low in the first place, but this has soured me on him even more. Anyway, he's not bad, I just don't remember him, which is funny how that happened in the editing process in real life too. Lenny is found in the Yucatan Casino on day 1 around 4 a.m. He is seen running away from Ted and specifically Snowflake. You have to either kill or tame Snowflake to get him to join you. He won't come with you otherwise, and I don't like killing Snowflake. So if I decide to save Lenny, I have to tame Snowflake, which can take a while. Lenny is very easy to miss despite being in the cutscene. Most players probably forgot about him or didn't know where to look for him on their first playthroughs. After you talk to him, he will show you a switch that turns on all the slot machines in the Yucatan Casino, which can be very helpful, but I hate this part since following him through the casino is such a slog to get through. Especially after we just fought a freaking tiger, the pacing is off. His personality and design is later copied by Wallace, but I think it fits there better since the Tape It or Die crew are already eccentric people. If you have the SUV key, then Lenny is pretty easy to get back to the safe house on later playthroughs, but I just find him boring and not fun to save, especially since his counterpart is a freaking tiger. The brains over bronze gentlemen. I am shocked that they're this low, but I just found everyone else to be more memorable or liked saving them more. These 4 are held up in South Plaza, huddled up on the floor, playing what I can only assume is Dungeons & Dragons. They are stereotypical nerds, and you have to talk to their leader, John, in order for them to join you. If you do not have a girl with you, you have to have a long and lengthy conversation with him about how they're there to meet girls and that girls don't like them, so they don't need girls and will just play games with each other. But once Chuck says that there are girls at the safe house, he'll join. But if you have a girl when you talk to him, another survivor that you've rescued, then he will join you almost immediately and think that you're cool. I actually really like that. I think that's a funny concept and mechanic. These guys have a disadvantage of spawning at an awkward time. There's 4 of them, so if there's still 5 survivors on the map that you haven't rescued, then these guys won't show up because of the 8 survivor limit. And if they do show up and there's still more survivors on the map, then other escort missions won't trigger either. Also, this mission has a shorter time span than a lot of others. Not the shortest in the game, but it does seem to go by quickly because the time you have to do it will probably be cut in half by the time you get it to spawn. Ranking them worst to best would be Eric at 59 since he's the least memorable. He's just kind of there. But fun fact, if these guys defect, they won't attack you like everyone else, but will instead run away, except for Eric, who will just crouch down and cower. I'd put Brian at 58 since he looks like Steve Urkel, John at 57 since he's the leader you talk to, and Curtis at 56 since he's wearing a skirt and you can get outtake points as Frank if you take a picture of him. Plus, I remember my mom, who is no longer here, pointing him out when I played this game in front of her. Do not give Curtis a shotgun though, because he doesn't know how to use it and will fall down every time. Kevin is so unmemorable that I kept confusing him with Eric, who we will get to later. Allison and Juan are 2 of the 4 characters from the mission One Hit Wonder, which I'll talk more about in detail later. These 2 are definitely the less memorable pair compared to BB and Cameron, and honestly, the mission could have been fine without them. I think they were added mostly to make BB's potential kill count higher if you fail to save anyone, which makes the mission more dramatic. But BB is a star, of course she needs a fashion designer and an assistant. I'd put Allison at 55 since she's helpful when you ask her what to do, but Cameron could have easily filled that role. And Juan at 54 because he's fabulous. Look at that outfit. I forgot to mention, but I actually do like Allison's outfit. These 4 are special, but they frustrate me a bit. If you play the game with no prior knowledge, you will never ever find them on your own unless you look it up. And I usually don't like that. There's something very special about stumbling across unannounced survivors for the first time. You feel very accomplished, and Tape It or Die kind of robs you of that. This group's mission has the shortest time window in the entire game, only 6 game hours, around 30 minutes in real life time, but it's the only escort quest that splits its parts into 2 parts. When you first meet them, they refuse to come with you because they already feel safe. You will need to bring plates and a cement saw to Wallace so he can build a combo weapon. If you skip this, part 2 will never trigger. About a day later, they get locked out of their hideout, and that's when you can actually rescue them. There are also only 4 of 8 survivors that can appear after the special zombies show up, which makes saving them a bit trickier, but honestly, Dead Rising 2 survivors are basically gods, so it's a fun challenge. Ranking them worst to best, I'd put Wallace at the worst because he's kind of a redo of Lenny. He's also the one that makes you get him the cement saw and the plates, which is annoying on your first playthrough if you didn't already bring them, because again, you only have 30 minutes. Left Hand Lance would be next because he has a great name, even though he's actually right-handed. And then Gretchen because she's the only girl and she's kind of the only real adult of the group. And then Johnny Pipes would be my favorite because he has the best personality and dialogue. Fun fact about this group though, they had a real promotional blog before Dead Rising 2 launched, which you can still read through the Wikipedia page. It is full of personality and gives them all a bit of a backstory. I actually thought Lillian and Camille Payne would be lower, but I have them higher for a few reasons. Okay, a big reason why they're so low is because of my time being wasted. You find Lillian, the daughter, on the rooftop of the hotel, and she will not come with you until you find her mom at the Atlantica Casino and bring her back. Camille will not already be at the Atlantica beforehand. You have to talk to Lillian to get Camille to spawn. So this means you have to, and I'm going to try not to stutter, go through the hotel and then through the roof, then back down the roof and out of the hotel. Go into the Atlantica and then out of the Atlantica, then back through the hotel and up to the roof. Then back down the roof and then out the hotel. Then through the Royal Flush Plaza and out to the safe house. That is 12 loading screens. 12. I remember playing this back on the PS3 when the loading screens lasted as long as my mom's third marriage. That's too much. Lillian is not the first survivor that won't come with you until you find someone else. However, the other two I'm thinking of, like Cinda, if you save the other survivor and then go back and tell them that they're already at the safe house, they'll come with you. Lillian will not do that. Even if you tell her that Camille is back at the safe house, she won't believe you, and she will kill herself. She will jump off the building in part 2, but in Off the Record, they do a callback to Ross from the first game, and Lillian blows her head off with a shotgun, and you can take a picture of it for major PP points. Jesus. I do think it would be more impactful if the roles were reversed and Camille couldn't handle losing her daughter. Camille and Lillian have very interesting AIs when they're with you. I'm going to try to explain it, but it might be confusing, so bear with me. If you hit Lillian, she won't hit you back, but Camille will hit you. But if you hit Camille, neither one of them will hit you. Wow, Lillian, I thought you'd be more protective over your mom. Let's say you're hitting them just for fun. If one defects, the other won't defect. But if they see you kill the other, then they will defect. But if they don't see you kill the other or the zombies kill one of them, then they won't defect. It's a unique AI. A lot of the others are more straightforward. Despite the fact that Lillian is a pain in the ass for making me do all that, I rank her higher than Camille because of the memorable deaths she has. Also, again, in Dead Rising 2, if Lillian kills herself, she will jump off the building. I think it would have been really cool if once we leave the hotel, we could have seen Lillian's body right in front of it. I think it would have been a lot more impactful and made you think about your decisions more. Do you guys remember how I mentioned Kenneth from earlier? He's Jack's father-in-law. Well, this is where I'm ranking him. Just an old guy who can hold his own with a little knife, but he is slow as hell. He runs much slower than Jack. Esther, the little old lady, she is the oldest survivor in the whole series at 99. She is the first survivor in the game that you can carry because she walks really slow, because she's old. You will have a lengthy conversation with her because she's looking for toys for her grandchild, and you have to convince her that the zombies are real. For some reason, and off the record, they moved this mission to the 3rd day. That was really stupid. More stupid than moving Richard to the grocery store. There's no way she made it that long. She's one of the first survivors in part 2, which makes total sense. So that, on top of the long conversation where she will scold you, is why she's pretty low.
It's Brittany, bitch.
I love her outfit. She's not too high on the list, but is a lot higher than Stuart. Fun fact, if you kill Stuart, then Brittany will cry the whole way back to the safe house. A few other survivors will do that too, but I've always liked that touch, but if you don't want to listen to it, you can grab the Leadership magazine. Remember how I mentioned Lulu from earlier? Well, Brittany isn't in Off the Record, but Lulu is, but her character model has been replaced with Brittany's since Capcom's deal with Playboy expired. As much as I miss the old Lulu, the Brittany Lulu blends more in with the survivors already at the safe house in the beginning, and she doesn't stick out too much. I do wish they kept her as Brittany because she looks like a Brittany and could never be Lulu. Another fun fact, Lulu in Dead Rising 2 is the only character in the whole game who can't die. Every other survivor from the beginning can die when zombies get into the safe house, but Lulu was smart and locked herself in a room. So at some point in the game, she can be the only person in the whole safe house, except for Stacy and Katie. However, in Off the Record, that changed since the Brittany Lulu can be seen fighting off zombies and can die. The Dead Rising 2 Lulu was supposed to be held captive alongside Danny in the Randy boss fight, but I think that was changed alongside her not ever being able to die is because she is a Playboy bunny, and Playboy probably wouldn't have been cool with it if one of their bunnies and the only character who represented their magazine could die. I like Brittany though, and I make sure to save her alongside this other female survivor that can be found at the same time in the same building, and we'll get to her later. It's Charlie's Angels in the middle of an outbreak. They are so ridiculous, but I kind of love it. These three are just chilling by the pool in Palisades Mall, but they're low for 2 reasons. The big one is you have to talk to their leader, Cora, and they won't come with you until you pay them $10,000. And if one dies, the other 2 won't follow you until you give them another $5,000 or $10,000. And then if one more dies, then the last girl standing won't join you until you give yet another $5,000 or $10,000. I do, but don't like that. But if they die, it's probably your fault anyway, so it's your punishment. Everyone else will either defect or go, oh well, life must go on. At first, I didn't like their outfits because, come on, what the hell is this? But then I remembered they're so confident in their abilities that they're just cool with having a pool party in the middle of an outbreak. They spawn around the time you'll be doing the High Rollers poker game along with Richard and a few others and some bosses, which can feel very overwhelming. You don't need to give them weapons, they're very capable on their own. They can kill zombies with their hands and kicks rather than just shoving them away like everyone else. In Dead Rising 2, if you talk to Nina first and a bunch of times, she will give you a $5,000 discount. But you have to talk to her first. You can't talk to Cora and then go talk to Nina. And you have to spam Nina. You have to talk to her over and over. But how would anyone ever know that they can spam Nina over and over until she's like, okay, you're persistent, I like you, here's half off. However, in Off the Record, I think this option was taken out because I remember spamming Nina for like a minute, but the discount never happened. So that's a shame. There is unused dialogue with Stacy and Chuck regarding these three. Stacy was jealous and thought the girls were too forward with him and that he shouldn't have to pay for rescuing people, but we all know what she meant. I'd have liked for that to stay in the game. I didn't get any romance connection with them other than her being motherly towards Katie. But yes, the girls are escort bodyguards, heavy emphasis on the escort, ranking them worst to best. Summer is last. She's the most forgettable. There's no point in talking to her. And she's also the only one that will laugh if she sees you kill another survivor. That's kind of mean. Then Cora, you can actually play strip poker with Cora back at the safe house. And she is the one you have to talk to get the mission going. And then Nina is the best because she gets you that sweet, sweet $5,000 discount and she's the best looking. Do you guys remember Ray? Exactly. So, with how forgettable he is, he does have a little personality when making fun of the spaghetti western. You do have to defeat Seymour to save Ray. He won't come with you until you do. We've heard that before. But I bet a lot of players didn't even know he was there because he doesn't appear in the cutscene and I almost never hear him yelling and making noise. One thing that is absolutely horrible about him is that off the record, when zombies grab survivors and don't let go, their health will go down and they can die. That doesn't happen in part 2. So Ray is not in a safe place. There's usually 2 or 3 zombies around him. And Seymour has been buffed up and off the record. In part 2, he was a pushover, and off the record, he can be a little difficult and take more time. So, the amount of times I finished killing Bill from Red Dead Redemption and then went to go get Ray, but he was dead, so I had to start the whole thing over. Far too much. Ray spawns at a pretty busy hot time. The High Rollers, fetching females, Richard, eventually the Tape It or Die crew, and then this one other guy. Far too much. Walter and Royce are 2 comedians who were performing stand-up routines when the outbreak happened. You have to listen to their awful jokes and give one of them the trophy in order for them to come with you. Whoever you give the trophy to will not give it back, not even for food. Fun fact, you need to hit a zombie with that trophy for an actual trophy where you use every single melee weapon in the game. If you're going for that achievement and you forget to use the trophy, which is only available during this time, it's your only chance to do so, you either have to reload your save or kill the guy you gave it to. If you give the trophy to Walter, Royce will refuse to come with you unless you give him $5,000. If you give it to Royce, then Walter will still join you, but he will cry the whole way back like a little bitch. Unless you have the leadership magazine. That will toughen him up. I do think Royce had the better joke, still lame, and was a lot smarter regarding the loss, so he edges Walter out a little. But good for them for making light of a horrible situation. Irvin and Mark are an unannounced scoop only in Off the Record, not Dead Rising 2. They are found in the Palisades Mall hanging off the 2nd story to escape the zombies, I assume. You have to grab giant stuffed animals and place them below them so they have something cushy to fall on. They will hang on forever, but once you place down the first stuffed animal, you have only a few seconds to place the other stuffed animal before the other guy falls and dies. They will join almost immediately after you save them, though. They don't have much dialogue or personality other than being kind of stupid for putting themselves in that situation. They are a callback to Sally and Nick from the first game, who are also an unannounced scoop found dangling from a big bunny. A big difference, though, is Sally and Nick spawn at the same place the Joe boss fight happens. They're just a few feet away from her location, and you will see them if you want to do Joe's boss fight. And Sally is very helpful with the Frank the Pimp achievement, where Frank needs to escort 8 female survivors at once. And for them, all you have to do is clear the zombies and then throw something at them to knock them down because they're not so high up that they'll die if they fall. But with Irvin and Mark, I don't believe you need to go to the Palisades Mall around this time, especially with all the different paths you can take to get to each location. And if you do need to go, then they're still pretty easy to miss. You have to actually look out for them despite the fact that the situation is insane. That being said, the situation is insane, and I'll place Irvin above Mark because he does kind of look like Steve Harvey. I mentioned Jasper from earlier when I talked about Cinda, and despite him not being too high on the list, he's a lot higher than her. I said I didn't like Cinda's design because I think it's bland compared to a lot of the other female survivors who all stand out, while she doesn't. Capcom gave a noticeable difference in flair and visual individuality to the female survivors compared to the men. Many of the males blend in together. Khaki pants, collared shirt, a bit of stubble. They share character models and are just bland or aren't attractive. So Jasper has one of the better looking designs from the male survivors. He's much more striking, and when a guy like Jasper with distinct features like that hair and those eyes and that vest, he immediately stands out from a lot of the others. Capcom put more effort into the women, if you ask me. Like, if you asked me to name one attractive female survivor with a good design, I could name like 7. But if you said name 3 male survivors with memorable designs, I'd have to think about it. Because even though Jasper is one of the more unique looking men, he still doesn't hold a candle to a lot of the girls. But he is a lot nicer than Cinda, and more relatable. Fun fact, if you give the donkey lamp to Jasper, he will not give it back, even for food, because he says it's too hilarious to give up. It's a nice little touch and gives him a lot more it gives him more humanity compared to some other NPCs. He says he needs some alcohol once you get him back to the safe house, which is very relatable and makes him more down to earth. Again, you don't need to beat the crazy chef to save Jasper like you do Cinda. You can just save him and take him back to the safe house. Despite the fact that they're connected, Cinda's route feels like an extra challenge with less reward, while Jasper's is a lot smoother. Even though he can be a pain in the ass to find on your first playthrough, but again, he's kind of really smart for getting that high up. He's in a safe spot. And he actually really appreciates you for rescuing him. He seems more grateful. Cinda does say thank you, but she's more guarded and distant. It's just like, I don't trust you. You can go jump off the bridge. If you rescue both of them, they will defect if one or the other defects. But again, I believe Cinda won't come with you if you kill Jasper and go tell her. But if you kill Cinda in that fridge and then go find Jasper and tell her she's died, I believe he will go with you. Maybe that makes her the better friend. I don't know. But Jasper is one of my favorite male survivors. Woodrow, I'm probably going to say Woodrow. I really wanted to place this guy higher, and if it wasn't for Off the Record, I would, but OTR ruined him. In Dead Rising 2, Woodrow is found in the Slot Ranch Casino and is a CEO banker and is taking money from the ATMs and won't come with you until he's done. You need to protect him from the zombies while he goes around to the ATMs. When he goes to the food court, he insists on using the moving walkway that's going in the wrong direction every time. I bet some people found this annoying. I didn't. I thought it was funny. I never struggled with this, and he will play strip poker with you in the safe house afterwards. And like, I get it. It's an outbreak. If an outbreak with slow-ass zombies happened to me, I'd probably want to steal money too due to the emotional stress. And what if I need Zombrex afterwards? In Off the Record, though, it is so broken. So he now spawns at that casino in the Silver Strip with the SUV. However, he spawns during the time of the snipers. And the snipers are horrible this time. They are super glitchy and bugged out this time. I don't know what happened. But I'm assuming they moved Woodrow to give it more of a challenge and to give you a reason to kill the snipers. But they should have just removed them because the AI is so bad. I had to constantly reload my saves. If you don't want to deal with them, then Woodrow is impossible to save because they shoot the hell out of him. And also, he won't give you his briefcase, ever, not even for food. If you do want to save him, then you really need to kill the snipers. Also, him working on the ATMs is also more glitchy. It takes a lot longer, and since he's outside, the pacing is off compared to the first game. I like the character. His greed and overconfidence fit into the world's dark humor perfectly. He thinks he's above the apocalypse, but it's played in such a tongue-in-cheek way that he's actually fun to escort. But Off the Record just ruined the balance and made a pretty goofy mission into just something really frustrating that players probably don't want to deal with. Like, his pathing in Off the Record to ATM is off. But in both games, he does everything in his crisp suit. I like those survivors in suit in its peak Dead Rising absurdity. And he is nice to you when he's running. He's like, come on, son, we're almost done. We gotta get this work done. And then he thanks you and gives you money afterwards. Terry Glass is much higher than her friend Willa, and it's mostly because her top is so goddamn ludicrous and impractical that they named the mission she's in after it, in industrial fashion. It really makes her stick out. But Terry is a good friend. She's seen handling herself just fine on 2 occasions, first when you meet her, and the second time when zombies storm into the safe house. Even if you don't rescue Terry, or even if she's killed, when you do try to save her, she will appear at the safe house later during the zombie break-in in both games, Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record. If she survives then, well, she's at the safe house permanently, and you were given a second chance to keep her alive by either her making her way back to the safe house by herself like a big girl, or God resurrected her from the dead and said, "You're taking Lulu's place in the battle because Playboy doesn't want her to die because it'll make them look bad." Either way, Terry has unkillable energy. To me, it seems like the devs had a soft spot for her. She has a lot of presence, oddly. In Off the Record, there are 3 female survivors that have very high health bars, and I would have replaced one of them with Terry due to the fact that she is seen fighting at the safe house later. But I do believe she really is a construction worker, both her and Willow, which makes it funnier. She looks so over the top, but I think some of the other survivors edge her out on memorability, but the game itself clearly likes her. That survivor I just mentioned with the high health bar that I would have given to Terry is Luz Palmer, a professional golfer found in the sports store on the first floor in the Royal Flush Plaza, fighting off a group of zombies with her trusty golf club. Kill the zombies that surround her and she'll come with you. She will not give up the golf club ever. It's her trademark, it's her identity, the control of the chaos. But that's fine because she's close to the safe house, and again, in Off the Record, crazy high health bar. It's kind of unnecessary. She's not hard to save. She's not in a dangerous spot. She's a little higher though because in both games, if you rescue her, later on she will give you a side quest. She will ask you to bring her another golf club. It should be in the same spot that you found her. It's okay if you don't, but if you do, she will give you some sweet, sweet cash and PP points. It's one of the few times Chuck actually says no. He's like, I don't want to risk my life for a golf club. And she's like, trust me, it's worth it. Which does give her a little more personality. She's one of the few who actively defends herself. She reminds me a bit of Terry, the way you found her. And I think if they switched spots at the safe house, I think it would work. I think she would fit in better. She actually uses the golf club like a weapon, while Chuck and Frank, they don't. They just hit golf balls with it, which I find interesting. She is a bit forgettable. She's a solid but not standout survivor. But rescuing her always does feel like a quick win mission. It's short, satisfying, and practical. Randolph is a struggling artist. He is found in an art gallery crying because he came to Fortune City to make a fortune by selling his art, but no one bought it because the outbreak happened. He is completely delusional and oblivious to his surroundings. He will not come with you until you buy his painting for $3,000. It's probably the cheapest survivor you have to pay for. The painting will not become available until you do. And that painting is needed for 2 trophies. It's like Capcom's way of saying, yeah, this loser's painting is worthless, but guess what? You need it for 100% completion. One is where you use the painting as a weapon that needs to be used for a trophy where you use all novelty weapons in the game. And the other, it can be given to Katie as a present that goes towards give Katie all the presents in the game trophy. The painting is kind of ugly, which makes paying the $3,000 for it a lot funnier, but it's really sweet giving this guy's artwork to your daughter. It makes him matter way more than he needs to. And what's even funnier is when you smash a zombie with it right in front of him, which ruins it right in front of him, and he does nothing about it. If he were to either defect or to started crying after you did that, I think it would show he cares, and I think that would be a neat little AI moment, but he does nothing. He's like, well, I got my money. So it shows everything about him. It was a wasted opportunity, but it also shows his character. He is dressed like a cliche painter, beret and all, but it's kind of adorable. He's just so pathetic, but essential for completionists. So, Floyd Stone and Alan Ash are a part of a 3-person group, and the third person is going to be way higher. But I couldn't justify placing these guys any higher or any lower than they are, because she's so high because they make her look good. They're basically supporting characters whose whole purpose is to elevate their leader. But they still hold their own just enough to be memorable too. The whole dynamic works because it's a group of 3. But she in turn gives them enough presence to make them memorable too. But the other one is to stand out despite the group of 3 being really cool. But I will place Floyd above Alan because Floyd looks like Marilyn Manson, and also he gives you a combo card. I think he's the only character in the whole game who does. So Floyd is necessary for trophy hunters. Elrod and Trixie Lynn, I think they're the only survivors found at the arena, which is one of the most packed parts of the mall, but they're not that hard to save. They are in the area where you were after you got out of the elevator, so back to the basics. And they're in a room, and in an effort to keep the zombies out of the room, they start a fire in the door area. Smart idea, horrible execution, because then they are trapped. You have to use a fire extinguisher to put out the fire and then talk to Elrod to get them to join, because Trixie, despite her boyfriend or husband being right there, she will flirt with you. Like a lot. Side note, I really like that they put a bandana over her face. I think it adds to the realism of the fire and makes her stand out. It's very rare that a survivor's outfit matches the situation that they're in. Elrod has some really good dialogue and phrases, and this is another mission that seems to go by quickly and is shorter than others, so I don't go out of my way to save them, but they're one of the few that I feel like shit if I don't save them. Because once time runs out, I'm like, oh my god, they probably burned to death. The smoke killed them, and it makes me feel bad. That's Dead Rising's mix of dark humor and quiet little tragedy. Because the opening was so chaotic and they feel connected to it, like a panicked couple who were in the arena when it happened, I think it would have been cool if all of the other survivors from the very beginning, we could still see some of them dead in the area, because they are 2 of probably the only ones who survived in the arena. But I will place Trixie above Elrod because she is another one that you can play strip poker with at the safe house later. Also, Trixie and Elrod are very southern, and there's another couple in the game who are also very southern, but it's a different type of southern. There's different levels to being southern, so I think it's cute that they gave the southern couple so much personality. Matthew and Michael, unless you save the survivors in a weird order, these 2 should be the very last ones you save, which makes them kind of sad. They are the last part of humanity in Fortune City. By the time you find them, the city is falling apart, the zombies have taken over, the military is dead. They are the end of the line. They are missable survivors, as you do have to play the story to get them to appear. The special zombies have to happen to save them, which makes them only 2 of 12 you can rescue with the zombies present. But they are the only 2 where you will only be able to save them with the special zombies present. The other 10, you can do them before those zombies appear. They were a part of the team of soldiers who came to rescue the remaining survivors and take out all the zombies, but the special zombies took out everyone, and they were the only 2 remaining. You will want the leadership magazine, because you will most likely have Rebecca with you when you talk to them, who is injured and you have to carry. But Matthew is also injured and needs a shoulder. So go back for them later or have the magazine. They will not give up their guns no matter what. They are still soldiers. They've lost their trust and discipline. They want to survive, but they're scared enough to snap. They think Chuck started the outbreak, but they really have no choice but to go with him. Due to the special zombies, especially in Off the Record, where survivors take more damage, they can be some of the most challenging survivors to save. Also, do not have any guns on you when you talk to them. They will shoot you if you do. Despite their trust issues, if they see Chuck or Frank kill the other, they won't defect, which I find insane. They're one of the few survivors who I think their paranoia feels earned. Everyone else is kind of like, what's your problem, you know? I will place Michael above Matthew. Matthew is injured, and you have to talk to Michael to get them to join. He does have the better dialogue. Fun fact, Matthew and Dean are the only injured survivors that can have weapons, and Matthew is the only survivor that you can offer a shoulder to that can have a weapon, so they're the only survivors that are injured / you can carry that can properly defend themselves. Also, don't have a water gun or a spitball gun. Those AIs count towards the guns. You not being able to have any guns on you, I think they will shoot you, is a complete opposite of this other character, so it's a nice little contrast. Speaking of that other character, Janice is next. He is found on day 2 around 7 p.m. right outside the Atlantica Casino, and he's just standing there like an idiot. They really should have moved him to like day 1 because he's so confused. He's like, I just came to cash my winnings. What happened? Like, he somehow missed an entire day of chaos, clutching his briefcase, wondering why his winnings are worthless now. He was moved to the food court and off the record and is on top of the information desk. I do prefer the Atlantica Casino location, but off the record, it makes him look smarter to get higher up. But why is he in the food court? He won't come with you unless you have a gun on you to be his bodyguard. Water guns and I think spitball guns count, which is funny. But he wants you to be his bodyguard and have a gun. Makes sense. I don't mind this, but if you don't know where any guns are, then this is gonna suck and possibly waste your time. He is another character that will not give up his briefcase ever. He is a good mix of absurdity and believability. It's so mundane, it circles back to being ridiculous. And he's in a suit and sunglasses. And he will give you money in each game after you take him back to the safe house. Eric Masters is someone I did not think would be this high up, but he is us. He represents the gamer and is kind of adorable. He is an exclusive off-the-record character. He was there for a video game tournament, so it's kind of meta commentary. He's a gamer stuck inside a video game. But he is found on top of a stand, is surrounded by zombies, and you have to clear them. So he is competent enough to survive on his own. Climb up high, stay somewhere safe, panic a little, wait for a hero to show up. You have to talk to him a bit, and he does talk like a gamer, but not in a grating, overdone, annoying kind of way. Do not give him a gun. He doesn't know how to use it, but I like him. They could have made him more annoying, but they didn't. He's more on the charming side. Eric is another nerd archetype, and I don't know why I liked him over the brains over bronze guys. I think it's because they are caricatures. I don't know how to say that word. They're kind of annoying if you don't have a girl with you, and they're so self-pitiful. They're like, oh, girls don't like us, so we're just gonna play these games in this dark room until they do. While Eric is kind of self-aware, because again, an outbreak is happening. I think the other guys, the game is making fun of them, while with Eric, they're in on the joke. The other guys are a lot more forced nerd stereotype, while Eric's a lot more casual and is being himself because he's talking about the thing that he loves, rather than only talking about the things that don't love him, thus making him a more cheerful, happy character. I originally had her a little lower on the list, I think by like 12 slots. I put her higher when I remembered that she has a body count. The only survivor with a confirmed body count, I think. Not even the few psychopaths that you can save have an actual confirmed body count if you save them. Off the record isn't canon though, so whatever. You have to play the story to make her appear. She's only in off the record. She's found underground, the only character ever found underground actually, and she had been fighting off TK's goons, but she hid once they started shooting. You can't bring your fist to a gunfight. Kill TK's goons to save her, and she will not accept any weapons or food. She's one of the few that can kill zombies with punches and kicks with her karate. She's a reference to the Karate Kid, I believe. Because in off the record, the survivors take more damage, her not accepting food could be a problem, but she is one of the 3 survivors I've mentioned with an extremely high health bar, so she'll be fine. In off the record, she can be seen fighting off zombies at the safe house when the zombies break in. Just like Terry, even if you didn't save her or she died, she will still be at the safe house, giving you a second chance to save her and keep her there if you screwed it up the first time. Which also means she rose from the dead or she took out the rest of TK's goons herself. But because survivors take more damage easily, Tomomi is the only one in the safe house zombie battle that you don't really have to worry about dying because of that high health bar as long as you hurry. I actually don't like the fact that her and Terry can appear at the safe house. Even if you killed them or didn't save them, I think it takes some of the illusion away. So she should be higher, but that, her being locked behind the storyline, the fact that TK's goons are a lot more annoying and off the record compared to part 2, and the fact that she refuses to accept food. I can handle her not accepting a weapon, but food, that put her a little lower for me. Next on the list are Bessie, Erica, and Rosa, the shopping spree girls. Some people would probably hate them, but me, I think they're queens. I did not think they would be this high on the list, but the more I was thinking about it, the more I love this escort. These girls are unannounced. They appear on day 2 in Kathy's space, and you have to talk to one of them, and it turns out they just finished shopping and will only come with you if you carry their shopping bags, which is this huge box. They will not follow Chuck. They follow the box, so if you set it down, they won't follow you. They will stay by the box. And if you break the box or destroy it, all 3 of them will defect and hit you, saying you ruined their clothes and you can't save them. I don't even know where to start. That's hilarious. And they're the only group that won't follow you but the item you're holding. They are not an off the record, sadly. I'd have liked to hear Frank make a comment about them. They did take advantage of the opportunity to take what they wanted from the mall, but instead of money, like other characters, they took clothes because they don't need money. You do not need to give them weapons. They are some of the fastest and strongest survivors in the game despite wearing heels and dresses, which is amazing. They will super kick a zombie and then throw it to the moon and power bomb it like wrestlers to save their shoes. Yes, that really happened. They are similar to the fetching females girls, but I prefer these girls. They're a lot more colorful, and again, they do wear dresses and heels. So they really shouldn't be as good as survival as they are, but it makes them fabulous that they are. The other girls are barefoot and wear bikinis and pants, so that alone makes the shopping spree girls more impressive. You don't have to pay them $10,000 to join you, which is alluding to another thing. So it makes them classier. With the fetching females, you have to talk to their leader, Cora, to get them to join you. But with the shopping spree girls, you can only talk to one of them. It could be anyone you want. And one thing I like is whichever one you do talk to in the store, that's the one that will talk to you when you get back to the safe house while the other 2 are in the background. Ranking them worst to best, Bessie is last. She is the meanest and has the most demanding dialogue. She does seem to be the ringleader in the whole situation. If you kill Bessie, the other 2 won't defect, but they will hit you and scold you, saying what's wrong with you. But if you kill one of the other 2, then Bessie will either laugh or not do anything. Plus, I don't like her design as much as the other 2. Next is Erica. She's kind of in the middle for me. Not mean or nice. And my favorite is Rosa. She's the best looking. She reminds me of Charlotte from Sex and the City, actually. She has the best dialogue and is the nicest. Her dialogue consisted of her actually asking Chuck to carry the stuff rather than telling him to. And when he said he can protect them, she was like, "We can protect you too. We're not damsels in distress." It's a little foggy. But they're not that far away from the safe house. You can use the box as a weapon a few times. They will not die, so if they do die, it's your fault. If you take the box to another location, place it down, and then go back to the Royal Flush Plaza, the box will respawn in Kathy's space, so the girls will all march in a line all the way back upstairs to go to the box. It looks so funny. It's like Dead Rising's jank and charm in one visual. Fashion models power walking through zombies to reunite with a cardboard box full of clothes. This is a pretty unique mission. When I played it for the first time, because for a while I didn't even know about them, they definitely stuck out to me due to their tone deafness and their self-absorbedness. I don't know if I said those words right, but they're a fun group of colorful characters. They're a fun group of colorful characters. Lashandra and Gordon Dawkins are by far the easiest survivors in the game to rescue. They're basically Dead Rising 2's version of Natalie and Jeff from the first game, a married couple who got separated during the outbreak, are just outside the safe house and you need to reunite them. Gordon is a total coward, fitting since I think he's named after Gordon the Coward from Dead Rising 1, who by the way would be very low on my ranking if I ever did a survivor list for that game. He bailed on his wife though, cries about it, and then even has the nerve to call her his water buffalo sometimes. Yeah, he's not a good husband. Lysandra, on the other hand, I really like her. She's a lot tougher and more grounded and honestly acts more like Gordon's mom than his wife. She has every right to be mad at him, but she still loves him. Design-wise, I really like Lashandra. She stands out. I think her and Willa are the only girls that have a different body type compared to the other survivors. And the color of her dress looks really great with her skin tone. I actually think she might be the only black woman survivor in Dead Rising 2. I'm not sure if Erica counts. I don't know what Erica is, but her presence is stronger, definitely more confident. She brings personality to what could have been a very basic escort. In Off the Record, as Frank, you can snap a photo of their hug for some easy PP. These two probably should have been the first survivors you can save, but maybe Capcom didn't want to copy Natalie and Jeff too closely. But at least their separation makes more sense, because there are zombies everywhere. While Natalie and Jeff, they were just on top of a rooftop together, on different sides looking for each other. No zombies around. I guess they were just confused. Chad and Doris are the other Southern couple I mentioned earlier when talking about Trixie Lynn and Elrod. They're also a married couple you have to reunite, but they feel more like an old country married couple. They have that been through it all cowboy and Southern belle energy, while grounded and tougher than they look. Chad is a gunslinging cowboy after all. Doris is a Southern belle, but also she is 32 years younger than Chad. She's 28 and he's 60. But I can't call her a gold digger like Frank does. Why? Because if you find Doris first, she refuses to leave until you find Chad. When they reunite, she lights up and you can snap a nice photo of their hug for some extra PP when playing as Frank. If Chad dies before you find her, she'll still come with you, but she will cry the whole way back to the safe house. If they're both with you, Chad won't defect if Doris dies, but he will cry by her body. But Doris will defect if Chad dies, at least in my playthrough. True gold diggers don't cry when their rich husbands die. They celebrate. Doris genuinely likes this guy. Despite Chad being much older, he actually runs much faster than Doris, probably because she's in heels. When you find them, Doris is on top of a souvenir stand outside the arena where the outbreak happened, holding her own with a gun, while Chad is down the Platinum Strip near the movie theater usually, blasting zombies with a shotgun. These two know how to handle themselves. Doris even mentioned in the safe house that she was keeping a kill count of her kills on top of that stand, which was 48. At first, Doris does not trust Chuck because she thinks he caused the outbreak, but the moment she finds out you saved Chad, her attitude changes. She thanks you because she realizes it wouldn't make sense for the guy who possibly started the outbreak to also be rescuing people. This is a cute escort. Finding one and then needing to find the other who isn't that far away is a good idea of what's to come with the survivors in the future. This is actually the first announced survivor mission that Stacy calls you about. The other 2 or 3 before it are technically unannounced. It immediately makes Fortune City feel more alive. Also, Chad is that cowboy that I mentioned from earlier when I was talking about Bill. That was so long ago. But I placed Doris slightly above Chad. I think she's a little bit more memorable from her attitude and dialogue, but they're both a pretty good early game duo. Andy is in Dead Rising 2, not Off the Record. He's found around day 3 in the Palisades Mall on top of slot machines, and you have to have a very lengthy conversation with him to get him to join you. He is thinking of killing himself because of all the tragedy, and if you walk away, he will blow his head off with the shotgun that he has. Some people don't like this because the conversation is so long and the dark theme really clashes with the usual energy of the game, but that is why I like it. Dead Rising is known for its really goofy humor and crazy psychopaths and over-the-top characters and rescues, but it does have dark moments. And Andy is realistic despite some of the weird dialogue. Dead Rising has always been about a story about how people react to an impossible situation. Some people would fight to survive, some people would go crazy, and some people, like Andy, would just lose all hope. A lot of people would do this because they wouldn't be able to live with the memories of what they've seen, or think that they just can't go on. He is overly dramatic at times, but the sentiment behind it feels real. He's not a flashy or funny survivor, he's one of the most human. Because Dead Rising finally acknowledges that a situation like this is traumatic and not just played for laughs and our amusement. I like Chuck being able to give Andy something to live for, though, with his tough love. And it's nice to see the game take a very brief break from the absurdity to show the emotional cost of the outbreak. Vicky Taylor is the girl that you rescue from Brandon, the zombie-loving hippie who teleports between bathroom stalls during one of my favorite psychopath battles, so that already makes her higher. He was about to let a zombie bite her and turn her, and honestly, I would rather just be killed. Anyway, during the fight, Vicky calls Chuck handsome, and after you untie her, she says people suck, and after you take her back to the safe house, she asks you if they use green technology. That's a pretty good idea of what she's going to ask you for later. She is a jaded environmentalist who's more disappointed in humanity than she is scared of zombies. Later on in the game, she will ask you to bring her a plant that's in the same art gallery that you found Randolph in. This is another time where Chuck says no at first. Again, he's like, I don't want to risk my life for a plant. And she's like, pretty please, the whole ecosystem is at stake. The only reason I came to this town is because I wanted to get that plant. And then after you give her that plant, she names a chant and slogan after you. It's cute, but very apathetic to the people who have died in the outbreak, and even Chuck is shocked by it at first. He thought she was going to say the tragedy was all the death, not a plant. But she did say people suck after you save her. You don't have to do the quest, but if you do, nice PP again. Vicky isn't off the record, but this time, because Brandon's boss fight is mandatory and not optional, he kills her. I felt like shit when I first saw that. It's very shocking going from part 2 to off the record and seeing that. I wonder how those felt doing it the other way around and then realizing you can actually save her in part 2. I think the reason why they did this is because now that it was a story mission, I don't think they wanted her to interfere with the 8 survivor limit. Her side quest is still available, but it's given to another girl that we'll give to later. After you save her, she's decently close to the safe house. She's lucky that off the record it's not canon and that Chuck is the one who found her. Vicky kind of was the perfect survivor to contrast Brandon, because thematically they're very similar. They're both idealists with a major detachment from reality that go in different directions. Vicky is protective of plants, Brandon is protective of zombies. I could easily see Vicky in this boss fight, but instead of ranting about zombies, she'd be ranting about plants. They are kind of two sides of the same coin. They'd probably get along if Brandon wasn't, yeah. Vicky actually has flowers on her white shirt. I just realized that. Vicky doesn't stand out too much, but I do like her outfit. I do think they went in too hard on her jaw. I think they should have softened up her face a little bit. But I like Vicky. I always save her, and then I always give her a gun, and then I go across the light chandeliers on the roof to go get the Zombrex and the blue bunny to give to Katie. And she just trots along on the floor every time, handling herself just fine. Deidre Sanchez, she is in Off the Record only. She is she a stripper? If she's not a stripper, she's in that line of work. I think she's an erotic dancer or exotic dancer. I don't know, but she's dressed as a sexy cop and is holding a bowling pin. Frank even mentions how she's nicer than the last cop he met. When she's talking to you, after every sentence, she will strike a sexy pose like she's an anime girl, and you can get some really nice erotica PP points from her. If you give her the massager, she will not give it back because she said, "There's no telling when I'll find another one of these," hinting that she might do stuff with it back at the safe house. I always give her a gun though because of the cop outfit. But this is the definition of camp. It is so camp. Capcom is very in on the joke. It's almost a parody, but they knew what they were doing with how ridiculous it is. Deidre is the last of the off-the-record only survivors on my list, and she makes the top of them because she is the most memorable of the 5. She embodies so much of Dead Rising's tongue-in-cheekness. Also, she's in the sex shop that's right where that magazine you need to get for Richard is to make him not creep all the girls out so they leave. So when you go to talk to Deidre, grab the magazine. That was very good placement. It turns Deidre's encounter into useful gameplay rather than just a goofy diversion, and makes going to the sex shop to get the magazine even more worth it. Jared really makes the players think about their choices. He is a party guy, went there to have a good time, but he got bit and you need to give him Zombrex to get him to join you. He asks if there's any hot girls back at the safe house afterwards, and then about a day or two later, you need to bring him more Zombrex, and if you don't, Sullivan will shoot him, and when you get back to the safe house, he'll be dead on the cafeteria ground. After you give him Zombrex for the second time, he tells you he loves you in his little frat guy way. You did save his life twice after all, and then he asks you if you've seen any hot girls out there. Jared has a little personality, but the gameplay, some people hate him due to the fact that he takes 2 of your very precious Zombrex. but it makes the player think strategically. Do you risk your scarce Zombrex supplies for a guy whose personality is party bro, or do you prioritize others? The moral decision makes him stand out, even if he isn't particularly heroic or memorable in personality and design. He does have a very basic looking design. It does make the player think, should I save this guy or not? Because as Chuck, you have to give it to your daughter. As Frank, you have to give it to yourself, and then you have to give it to TK if you want to start overtime mode. But if you find all the Zombrex laying around, the 2 survivors who can give you some, and save up for the pawn shop, you should be fine. And he should be lower, but he's high due to the weight of the decision and the fact that Capcom actually put a survivor in that needs the most precious item in the game. But I can imagine someone giving him Zombrex, and then later on, they can't find the other Zombrex and don't have enough for the pawn shop, and so then Katie dies, and then they feel like shit and have to restart their save. Denise, she is the very first survivor in the game. She is in the pharmacy, and you have to kill the looters who are looking for money and harassing her to save her. This is everyone's first glimpse to what the survivors are going to be. Very capable, very grateful. She'd probably still be this high even if it wasn't for what I'm about to talk about next. Alpha versus Omega. In Off the Record, there is a trophy you can get where after you save Denise and get her to join you, you have to keep her around in your party for the entire game and take her to the boss battle with Sergeant Boykin so she can do some damage to him. Good lord, how did they come up with this? This is such a unique idea. She really went with you from the pharmacy to the battlefield. I would love to see Capcom do more trophies like this. Because in Off the Record, the survivors are a lot more fragile and take damage more easily. Denise is one of the 3 that I was talking about that has an extremely high health bar. So at least they were a little self-aware with that. I managed to do this trophy while also saving all of the other survivors in the game too. It takes a lot of boxing her into the maintenance room or with boxes. This is why survivors you can carry or give a shoulder to are the best. Taking her back to the safe house after beating Boykin is such a satisfying feeling. It really is like, we did it, girl! Like, she really was with you through thick and thin. They made the tutorial survivor an MVP. Cameron Welch and BB Love are the other half from Juan and Allison I talked about earlier. They are all in One Hit Wonder. BB is a washed-up pop star from the 80s and only has one major hit single, and she was at Fortune City for a concert to get her stardom back. But then the outbreak happened and the old girl snapped. She rigs Juan, Allison, and Cameron up with bombs, and her song title is called You Better Do What I Say, which is exactly what happens. You have to do what she says to save them. If you attack her, then she will blow all 4 of them up. So she's a very unique psychopath. First, you have to bring her a drink and then dress in a tuxedo and then bring her fans to the stage. She is completely detached from reality, though, and thinks that the zombies are her fans. But you have to use firecrackers to draw them there. After you do, you have to do a quick time event while she's performing her song on stage, which by the way is a total banger. Her voice actress, who played the volleyball coach in John Tucker Must Die, by the way, is absolutely phenomenal. She is having so much fun with this role. She really brings this character BB alive. And she's a pretty decent singer. She can hit those high notes. After you finish, she is satisfied and throws herself into the crowd thinking that they're her loving fans, and then afterwards you can kill the zombies that surround her and save her, and then she is a survivor. You can actually save her after she snaps back into reality and she calls you a true fan. However, as much as I love this, I do think it would have been more crazy and impactful if she died here. The zombies were very clearly going for the bite right away during the cutscene. So after it ended, having a big red BB Love is dead icon on the screen and then seeing them eat her on the floor, it would have been really intense but cool. But again, I like BB. Something that is hilarious is that in Off the Record, a lot more survivors give you money due to that 1 million you need. They give you 10,000, 30,000, 70,000. BB gives you $100 and acts like it's the most money in the entire game. Something interesting I just found out is that you can actually do this mission with the special zombies around. So during the cutscene, if you can see the green smoke in the background, it changes the whole atmosphere. So they are 4 of 12 you can save with those special zombies around. Also, BB's hair and body and outfit are so over the top. She can give you a lot of PP points as Frank. On to Cameron. Cameron is the funniest survivor in the game in both cutscenes. When he yells, "Yo man, just do it," after Chuck seems like he's about to say no to BB and she gets mad, you can really feel his desperation and fear, but it's funny because other survivors just look sad and say, "Help me." He is the injured survivor of the group, so you can give him a shoulder. You know me and the shoulders, I like to carry the survivors. And despite BB being the most rough on him, since he's the only injured one, Cameron can be seen sipping on a drink. And I'd like to think that BB most likely placed the drink in front of him so they can have refreshments. So despite her being so chaotic, she is very oddly considerate, while Cameron is just trying to survive and go along with her madness. But despite losing it, she still has her humanity in there. But I am placing BB above Cameron for everything I just mentioned. Tammy Blaine is next. She is the mermaid you find in the Atlantica casino around day 3. And she's not a real mermaid, it's a costume. I believe she works there and her job is to lay there and look beautiful like a mermaid due to the casino's ocean theme. She is surrounded by zombies and only lived because she is slightly higher up. However, she can't take the tail off because she's going commando, so you have to carry her. A quick and simple but fun escort, especially if you have the shortcut unlocked. She is the only survivor in the game who can't walk at all. She can't accept weapons or food. The leadership magazine won't work on her at all. But she also won't need food as long as you don't put her down in front of the zombies, because why would you do that? And she is the only survivor in the game who can't get into any vehicles like the sports car and the SUV. And off the record, you can get the adult content trophy by taking a picture of her or one of the twins, Amber or Crystal. It's when you have to take a picture worth 1,000 erotica points. I oddly didn't get this trophy with other characters like Deidre, Kristen, Lynette, or Europa. It was Tammy who gave it to me. I believe her look is heavily inspired by Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I love the way Chuck and Frank put her down. They literally just plop her down and she sits there. And I love seeing her at the safe house. I guess they couldn't find any pants for her like they found robes for other girls who are half naked, because she's still in the tail and she is always seen sitting on a desk. My one problem with her escort is that I think they should have made it on day 1. There's no way she was sitting in that clam in that outfit for 3 days. She was stranded there, and there's no way she decided to randomly put on the tail for the 3rd day to lay in front of a bunch of zombies. But this is a fun world-building escort, though. I always save her. It's a mermaid, and she calls Chuck handsome, and off the record, she will give you some money. And Tammy is also on one of the gambling magazines. I think the game wanted you to notice her. You also have no reason to kill Tammy, and when she does get attacked by zombies, she literally flops around like a fish out of water. It is a trip to look at. Fun fact, one time, she spawns around the time Andy spawns. So one time I saved her, and then I went to Andy, and I put Tammy down in a store a few feet away. So while I'm talking to Andy, I see her little icon getting attacked. So I jump off to go save her, and then Andy kills himself. So either put her in a safe spot or save Andy first. I did not think Europa would be this high. In fact, she is probably much lower on other people's lists. I bet some people find her insanely annoying. I do not. You find her around the 3rd day in the hotel lobby. She was staying at the hotel, and for like 2 days didn't know the outbreak happened. She was just in her room. She left the room in her underwear to go get some ice, but locked herself out and went downstairs to get another key, and then she realized the outbreak was happening while she's in her underwear. She is extremely embarrassed and won't come with you until you're in your underwear too. And it's actually so sweet that Chuck did that for her in solidarity. She was like, what if there's a hot guy out there and they see me like this? I'll die from embarrassment. While it is implied she's attracted to Chuck because she says Paris Hilton's very famous catchphrase, "That's hot," when you get in your underwear too and show her. She's then like, okay, let's go, but then asks if you will carry her because the floor is cold. And you can actually carry her. She won't accept weapons, but she will accept food. But unlike other survivors you can carry, she will run at a normal speed, so it is purely optional. Her dialogue is hilarious. She is a classic early 20s airhead valley girl who stepped out of MTV from the 2000s and is just walking around an outbreak. She is all about drama because she talks about her friend who was trying to steal her boyfriend or something. I talked about how Vicky Taylor from earlier has a side quest where you can bring her a plant in Dead Rising 2, but she dies in Off the Record. Well, Europa is the one who replaces her, and now she's the one who will ask you to bring her a plant. And I think they should have gone with someone else. It just doesn't fit Europa's personality. She doesn't come off like an environmentalist at all. They didn't change the dialogue in the side quest. So I can see it kind of fitting her, but I just wish they changed the dialogue to be a little bit more ditzy and even more dramatic than Vicky was. I think Europa has one of the prettier faces. I'll get into who I think are the better looking survivors later, but I think Europa has one of my favorite models. She looks more polished compared to a lot of others. Plus, I like her underwear. I would wear that. Let's go pinstripe. It is very stylish. I always change into Chuck and Frank's underwear before going to get her so I don't have to go to the other side of the plaza and then back. Some people would find that time wasting. In Dead Rising 2, she usually spawns around the time the snipers do, so if you haven't killed them, you can grab the cart vehicle, which is right outside the hotel, and drive to the Royal Flush Plaza. I always do that. I never have a problem with the sniper shooting me or her. And if you decide to change into clothes after you have her, she won't eject to it. In fact, that actually makes me think I think they should have made her eject to it. Just give her some dialogue of, oh, why are you changing? Will you stay in your underwear for me? She is an entertaining, somewhat frustrating, fun character that I usually go out of my way to save. Danny is the girl you save from Randy, the sex-crazed virgin who killed his pastor father and then was going to force her into marriage and then have his way with her. Very, very dark, and I think Danny has one of, if not the most memorable design in the game. She's in a short wedding dress with running mascara from her tears and smeared lipstick. It's very visually striking. She even has a corsage and a tiara and veil. She is also very tall. She usually hovers over the other female survivors, probably due to her heels. Speaking of her heels, Danny is one of the slowest survivors in the game. The leadership magazine will not help. If you're in a group escort, you'll see firsthand how much slower she is than others. Danny will also cry the entire way back unless you have the leadership magazine. But I get it. She has a right to cry. She's not whiny. She's traumatized. I don't care about those slightly annoying aspects, though. She's pretty good with guns and is very memorable to me. I like saving her. There really is zero gameplay incentive to save her. There's no money, no special bonus, no shortcut. You only get the regular amount of PP, and yet players will want to save her because that's the reward itself. Saving her feels more special than saving the other psychopath battle victims like Cinda, Ray, or the one-hit wonder group, or even Vicky. And I think it's because you saved her from a fate worse than death. Randy had done the same to other women, as seen with the zombie bride, and Danny was for sure going to be next. So she might stick in your mind even after the mission is over. Kristen is the showgirl you find on day 1 in the Americana Casino. She's one of the first survivors you can save. And she spawns around the same time and place that Brittany and Stuart do, so you'll probably save them together. Oh, also, Kristen is absolutely hammered. She is extremely drunk. I feel like this would be a lot of our luck of the outbreak happening at our worst possible moment. She doesn't even know what's going on. She will walk very slow because of it, so you have to carry her. She's not far away from the safe house, so it's not too bad. When, as Frank, you can actually get outtake points if you take a photo of her dancing or throwing up. I love her design. The hat is amazing. You can wear the hat by finding it in another casino, but it's not the same color, sadly, so it's not as striking. You can play strip poker with Kristen later in the game, and I think she's the best one at it. I always have the hardest time with her AI, but I think that makes the most sense. She's the only one who actually works there, and she blends into the world the most, as well with the poker game. However, I was disappointed that her hat wouldn't come off once you strip her down. I really wanted to see what her hair looked like. I really like Kristen's face model. I think it's one of the smoothest and prettiest in the game, and the whole interaction is very memorable. I would absolutely expect to see something like this in real life on the first day of an outbreak in a place like Vegas. She is very visually expressive and colorful. Again, even when I don't save survivors, I always go out of my way to save her. Lynette is the Greg Simpson of the game. She is found on day 2 around noon in the Palisades Mall. She has been in a tanning bed the whole time. She was in it when the outbreak happened, so all the employees bailed and left her there. So she's just been in there cooking like a turkey the whole time. So she is very sunburned. Her whole body is red and she's also dehydrated and parched. So you need to bring her a drink, any drink, before she'll join you. She will down a bottle of whiskey. Because she's so burned, she walks very slow, so you have to carry her. Awesome. But Lynette will show you a shortcut. She works at one of the stores, brand new you, and a shortcut there will bring you to the bathroom of the Royal Flush Plaza. It's a very helpful shortcut, but not as helpful as Greg's. So Greg you find on night 1, not day 2, so you get it sooner. Greg's shortcut is almost essential to the game. It teleports you across the mall. And while Lynette's does too, it's not as extreme. And due to the fact that at Fortune City there's already a few options for different paths you can take, and because the time limit is more lenient and not as extreme as the first games, the shortcut is helpful but not as necessary. But most players will still absolutely go save her though, and even if they're not doing saving survivor playthroughs, after they get the shortcut they'll probably still go out of their way to bring her to the safe house since it's right there. You are a monster if you don't save her and Greg after they bring you right next to the safe house. Also, the tanning bed she was in, there's a massager in it. I wonder if Capcom was hinting that she was doing anything in there. But anyway, Lynette is the second most valuable survivor in the game. The first most valuable survivor in the game is Sven. He is the most important survivor in the whole game, and yet he's only number 3. There's actually 2 people I like a little bit more than him. If you want to save Jared or get the true ending with overtime, then Sven is essential if you don't want to spend thousands at the pawn shop. He is a friendly paramedic who's just trying to do his job and trying to save people. When you find him, he's trying to save Tim, who will always die, and he's really upset that he couldn't save him, but when you tell him there's people at the safe house he can help, he'll join. And after you bring him back, he'll give you Zombrex. About 2 days later, he has an unannounced side quest. Stacy won't tell you about it, so you have to remember it on your own. He's been trying to treat the injured people at the safe house, but is running low on supplies, and he needs you to bring him vodka or whiskey to help him treat the wounds. But after you give it to him, he downs it all. It was a mechanical error, but it's still pretty funny to see. But then he gives you another dose of Zombrex, so he gives you not 1, but 2 Zombrex. He is the survivor I was talking about way earlier when I talked about Richard, who I suppose is the 3rd most valuable survivor, yet he's last while Sven is 3rd. He's just a helpful guy, and it's not lost on me that he spawns around the exact same time Jared does. He is the sole reason why Jared even gets saved by most players, because they spawn around the same time. I wish Steven would have a proper interaction with Jared, because they're so tied together, and Sven is always with me when I save Jared, but Sven is absolutely someone you would want around you during a real outbreak. Gameplay-wise, a lot of the survivors are good with guns and weapons because that's just how they were made to fight, but Sven is the only one I can think of who, in the story, is actually really helpful. Sven is the best male survivor. At number 2 is Gianna Slick. Gina Slick? Gina Slick. I think it's Gianna. I mentioned Floyd and Alan earlier, but she is the best and most memorable part about the Escort. They are a rock band from London, and they are performing on stage, and they think that the zombies are just really hardcore fans. You can talk to all of them, but you have to talk to Gianna to get the mission moving along. Once they realize that they are zombies, they will finish their song, which blows all the zombies in the crowd's head off. When as Frank, you can get a very nice photo of it. It is an amazingly badass scene, and then they will all join you. Some of the girls in the game who wear heels run slower, but not Gianna. She will run at the same speed as her bandmates do, and in some of my playthroughs, she was even faster than them sometimes. She is amazing with guns and is one of the best gunfighters in the game. I gave her a pistol one time, and she blew away 6 zombies in a row that were standing in a line with headshots.
I love you.
She has an amazing and beautiful design, and the whole group is a very fun set of characters who blend right into the world and make it feel more alive. I think most players really like them. Their AIs are straightforward. They're very loyal to each other. If one dies or defects, then the other 2 will defect immediately. Their storyline alone I could see being a Dead Rising game, a rock band who was performing on stage when the outbreak happened, and then they get into silly antics trying to figure out what happened and save other survivors in their rock and roll way. Obviously, I would want to play as Gianna. They, and mostly her, are insanely cool. Alan even says they've dealt with tougher crowds in London, so they've been there, done that, and they're not scared or shocked at all. And Gianna, despite knowing that they're dead, said a crowd has never been more into their music. She is the only girl. I think that makes her the most empathetic towards the dead. I will always go out of my way to rescue them, and Gianna, in my opinion, is one of the most memorable survivors and my favorite of the human survivors, yet not number one. Who could be number one? It's Snowflake. Of course it's Snowflake. Who else did you think it could be? It's a freaking tiger. On 4 a.m. on day 1, which is actually the second mission and survivor scoop in the game, Ted will spawn in the Yucatan Casino, and he is Snowflake's trainer and loves her. She is his only friend. He was very bullied, and he loses it when he thinks you call him slow and you have to fight him. Ted is a complete pushover. He has the AI of a defected survivor. After you beat him, you have the option to kill Snowflake or tame her. I can't stand seeing Snowflake dead, so I usually skip her or tame her. You have to get her to eat 3 steaks. It can be buggy, especially in Dead Rising 2. Always save beforehand in case it takes a long time. I've done it enough times, though, that I understand how the AI works and how to always get her to eat the steak. Make sure she sees you so she runs to you, but be behind a podium in the line of direction of the steak. I know that sounds confusing, but anyway. Snowflake is one of the few psychopaths that you can save, but the only animal survivor, and she will mess you up. She is a very fast and strong tiger. She could take off a few blocks of health. Anyway, after eating 3 steaks, she will join you. She is the only survivor that doesn't have to be by the door for you to go to a different area. She can be across the building, and she will still spawn in the next location with you. This is amazing unless you want to keep her around for a long time, because you will eventually have to go back to the safe house. And she gives you the most beautiful line when you bring her back to the safe house. After you save her, she chills in the security room with Stacy and Katie, and she can be given to Katie as a gift, and so she is necessary for a few trophies, and it's the only time Katie gives one of your gifts special dialogue. If Snowflake loses health, you sadly can't give her any food, so if you bring her to a psychopath battle, which I have, then it can turn one of 2 ways: her messing them up or them messing her up. Snowflake is a badass, though. She mauls zombies in her path with ease and is the most unique survivor in the game and has a great battle music song. I'm so glad they gave us the option to save her, but I can't imagine a new player knowing they could save her in such a specific way. I assume most people just went and immediately killed her. Ted isn't a problem at all, so you can actually tame Snowflake before you beat him, and if you do, then I believe they will start attacking each other. Snowflake is an icon, though. She is only 3, so the youngest survivor in the series in cat years. She is pure Dead Rising chaos. It's a freaking tiger. Well, I did it. I ranked them all worst to best, but it's not over yet. I wanted to talk about a few things. One, I mentioned with Bill that I would talk about the safe house itself, so here it is. In the first game, there's 4 rooms the survivors are into. So it's like 50 survivors divided up into 4 rooms, and let's just say it had a lot of character and was very loud. They never stopped talking until they went to sleep, but they stayed where they were at, and when you were feeling bored, you could just go look and admire all the survivors you saved. In Dead Rising 2, the safe house is huge, but the survivors never stay in one place. Despite saving nearly 70 of them, the safe house always feels so empty and never truly alive. Despite having like 11 different rooms you could put smaller groups into. Also, there are a lot of beds and couches, yet you constantly see survivors sleeping on the floor. It drives me crazy. If they ever did a remake, I think it would be awesome if they got smaller groups to stay in different rooms. Like the ones you could play strip poker with are always in the same room together. They never leave. Bill could be in one playing the slot machines. A few of the injured survivors could be in one with Spin in there looking like he's checking on them and helping them. Maybe they could actually sleep on the beds and couches available. But I like to admire the hard work I've done, and them never staying in one place or spawning all together robs me of that. It makes the place feel so dead, and it kind of breaks the immersion and world building. The second thing I wanted to talk about were the good-looking survivors and who's hot and who's not, despite them all being a video game. And there's a reason for that. Dead Rising is a game that embraces the sex sells aspect. Side note, I am a woman. I was fully against the Dead Rising remaster removing the erotica genre. They should have removed the side quest where Cheryl requests you to take pictures of her, because with no erotica, it made it really awkward. Frank is a hornball. He is a subtly horny guy. It makes sense for his character, and in Dead Rising 2, Chuck is kind of a flirt, and the ladies just love him. He is a really handsome American action hero type. Frank and Chuck and Nick from the third game can all wear revealing and sexy costumes, and there are men and off the record Frank can get erotica points from. Plus, you have characters like Randy and Dylan from the third game who are all about sex. Dylan is a king, and Kent from the first game is made out to be a creep. I don't mind the sexual aspects in the game. I can see how certain parts are sexist to some, but I don't mind them. Because again, Dead Rising is pure camp. Other than Cheryl's side quest, which is also kind of goofy, none of the sex parts of the game have been too over the top for me. They blend into the world. Anyway, I will mention the survivors in the game that I think are the best looking based off face models, hair and outfits, and even personality. For the girls, Lulu, Europa, Kristen, Rosa, Gianna, and probably Danny. I dig the wedding look and crying look. I am shockingly not including Deidre, Tammy, Brittany, Nina, Erica, Doris, or Jessica because they're hot, but there's something about them that's missing that it factor to me. I don't think of any. They're all close seconds. I don't think of any of them first when you say who's the hottest survivor. For the males, well, Jasper and Annam, who is at the safe house in the beginning. He's still in his Terror is Reality gear and has a great face and haircut and actually does have some backstory. His parents died in the first game's outbreak, so he's the most memorable in the safe house survivors to me, after Lulu. This is hard, though. I'd put Cameron up there. The wiki says he looks like Barack Obama, and I can kind of see it. Maybe Matthew and Michael because of their uniforms. Sven looks kind of buff to me. And maybe Janice and Woodrow because of their stylish suits. But they're just, all the men are just so meh compared to the girls. This is what I mean by the guys don't stand out compared to the girls in this game at all. The best looking characters in Psycho-Pass, the game, are Chuck, Rebecca, Sullivan, yes, Sullivan, Brandon, and the twins, specifically Amber. Side note, when I do the boss fight with the twins, I always make sure to kill Crystal, the one in the silver, because the cutscene when the blonde kills herself, it just looks more aesthetically pleasing. When it's switched and Crystal kills herself, it just looks so off, and I'm like, nah, there's something off, switch them. This isn't right, so Amber is best girl. Oh, also, side note, Isabella is the best looking character in the series. In Dead Rising 2, the outside area, Fortune Park, has the most survivors you can save with 14, while the arena and Yucatan Casino have the least with only 2 each. And off the record, the Palisades Mall actually has the most survivors this time, also with 14, while the underground area has the least with only 1. This has been so much fun to make, but also very stressful to do. Thank you all so much for watching, especially if you watched the whole thing. I really appreciate it. I hope the audio and editing isn't too bad. Remember, it's my first time and I'm doing everything on a phone. If you disagree with my list, comment yours down below. I've always wanted to say that, but please do so respectfully. I beg of you. Please. See you next time, though. If I ever even make a video like this again, I will probably go back to uploading love stories again from games with all the good choices you need to pay for, already paid for, so people can see what they missed out on. I have not and probably will not ever make money from these videos. But oh well, they're passion projects, so I just do what I want to do. But take care.